I'm Kyle Becker, and welcome to Explain America. Now, there's been a shocking development in the Abrego Garcia case, a story that has been driving media hysteria the last couple of days, and this is really taking it to the next level. Just when you thought the Democrats couldn't look any worse, this story may be the icing of the cake, and it could be one of the biggest backfires you've ever seen for the Democratic Party. It's that absurd. But before we get into this story, consider joining us at Explain America. That's youtube.com/at Explain America. We really appreciate it when you like, comment, and share. It gives us feedback on our stories and tells us about more common sense reporting that you would like to get the word out to the American people. So, this is a really ridiculous case. Senator Cory Booker is considering leading a trip to El Salvador to demand that an accused MS-13 gang member be released back to the United States. That's according to Axios. And this is just one of dozens of House Democrats that want to make this trip. Now, Garcia is an El Salvadorian native and is accused of being an MS-13 gang member. That's been in court documents. It's been disputed. But what is not disputed is that he's an illegal alien that came here in 2011. He did not apply for asylum. He's not an American citizen. He was sent back to his home country in El Salvador. So we have a lot of Democrat-led hysteria. Now, they want to go to El Salvador, these House Democrats, to protest the Trump administration's deportation policies. So this is nothing but a photo op. But while lawmakers could travel to the Central American country informally, a Republican committee chair's approval is needed to send an official congressional delegation, or CODEL. Now, a CODEL would provide the members with crucial oversight powers and security resources. So this is Robert Garcia of California and Maxwell Frost of Florida, who is asking the House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer in a letter to authorize a CODEL to El Salvador. One of the things that is most ridiculous about this is that Chris Van Hollen, a Democrat from Maryland, requested a meeting with El Salvadorian President Nayib Bukele to discuss the return of Abrego Garcia. This is the president of El Salvador who just recently met with Donald Trump at the White House. So let's take a look at Chris Van Hollen and his absurd request to go meet Bukele.
I saw the comments of President Bukele, and I look forward to meeting with him. I've requested to meet with him. I reached out to the ambassador here to ask to meet while he's here. But I've also made clear if we can't meet here, I do intend to go to El Salvador to discuss the release of this individual who is illegally detained. A Maryland man who's the father of 3 in a notorious prison in El Salvador. And I believe the president of El Salvador will recognize why it's important to allow him to return to the United States of America, because it is absolutely unjust and illegal to have this Marylander detained one more day in a notorious prison in El Salvador. Of course, President Trump could have just said, bring him home. Of course he could have done that. But this is an administration that has lied about Mr. Abrego Garcia, right? The vice president of the United States tweeted out that he had a criminal record. That was a lie. They're just lying. They've gotten caught lying. They don't want to admit it. And they have an obligation to bring him home. But I will say the president of El Salvador should not now take it upon himself to say that he is detaining him for one more day, because that is kidnapping. I understand that the Attorney General said that we would provide a plane to bring him home. So all the president of El Salvador has to do now is hand over and release an innocent man and let him come home to his family.
This is ridiculous. And it's all going to backfire because it just tells you about the Democrats' misplaced priorities. But what really takes the case is Cory Booker going on MSNBC and talking about this case as if it's some major violation of due process for somebody who was born in El Salvador, broke the law, came into the United States, is suspected of being an MS-13 gang member with documentation of that, is wanted in El Salvador for being an MS-13 gang member, and has been returned to them. So let's listen to Cory Booker.
Do you think the Trump administration is defying a court order?
It certainly appears that they are, and they're trying to play too cute with parsing words. The court has ordered the return of this person and that the Trump administration should do it. They're paying an authoritarian leader in El Salvador to hold people in the worst imaginable types of prisons that he has sent there without any due process. And this isn't just about Mr. Garcia. This is about every American understanding that this president is making an assault on the due process rights that are afforded to people in our country. Everybody from Anton Scalia to other conservative think tanks have said very clearly, you cannot disappear people off American streets. We are a nation of rules, and due process is clearly one of them. And to erode the due process rights of anyone is a threat to the due process rights of everyone. This is a democratic slippage, and we all should be speaking out against it.